and welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
Today we want to talk to you about the Sawtooth Mountains, particularly the scenic byway around them.
Well, yeah, as we talk to you about the Sawtooth Mountains, we want to encourage you to not see them the way we did, which was driving all over them. And seeing them from a distance is gorgeous. They're beautiful.
It's set, if you add it up, it'll be about 200 miles, and you may be thinking, that's just about 4 hours, that's doable. Wrong.
That's that scenic loop up and over. And actually what we had done is, I had seen a number of videos of people talking about Sawtooth Mountains. They're gorgeous, they're beautiful, and they were. And I could not find anyone who said when they were here. That's why we try. I may miss one or two. But at the beginning of each of our videos, in the upper left-hand corner for the first 15, 20 seconds or so, I put a date stamp up there of the month and year. So you have some idea when we were there. So you'll know, oh, it's sunny and warm. Or this video wasn't uploaded until August, but look, there's snow everywhere. You'll have an idea when we were actually at the location. I had looked at weather forecasts for Stanley. Stanley is the only big city that's in the Sawtooth recreation area. And it looked like the daytime highs were plenty doable. It appeared the temperature range was going to be close to what we had at Yosemite. So, our GPS told us the closest way to get to Stanley was to take the scenic loop. And as you can see from the video that we've been putting on the screen here, it's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
You start off just driving kind of down in the valley, and you've got the river to one side, and you're crossing a river, and it's just gorgeous, man. It's beautiful, and you can see the mountains. And
I do want to tell you, we were towing.
Yes, we towed all the way around the scenic loop. And I believe we were the only people who did that yesterday, at least the only people we saw. And I think there's a reason. But we realized once we were committed to doing this, I mean, once we got up around Lowman, was when we realized we're going to be gaining some elevation here.
Some more elevation.
Yeah, more elevation. And we summited... Yeah, we had summited that Morris Creek summit, that 6,000, before we got to Lowman. Bandelier, we summited over 7,000 there. And so, if you're considering doing this, go to Google Maps and zoom in and see the turns that are there. There really aren't that many that are complete switchbacks, but understand that all of these twists and turns, you're on a 6, 7, or 8% grade, either up or down, one of the two.
The speed limit is 25 to 35.
And occasionally drops down to 20 as you're on these curves. Now, if you really want to get up there and see those summits, my suggestion would be, like I said, we came in from Boise. You want to take 84 down and hit 20. Go across 20 and up 75. And that, you do gain elevation. You are going through, it's kind of like you're in a punch bowl at that point.
Yes.
You have, those are flat roads for the most part. Once you gain that elevation, that section across Sawtooth Mountain recreation area was gorgeous. Now,
with a speed limit of 55.
And it actually jumped up to 65 at one point. But let me explain. We didn't hit Boise until 2 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
It is mid-May. So we assumed by the time we got to Stanley, between Stanley and this Ketchum, according to everything I'd seen, there are a plethora of national forest campgrounds and recreation areas. I'm going to show you the information we picked up about the Boise National Forest because that was early on in our adventure around the mountains. And you can see how many campgrounds they have listed on the 21 side of the mountains, the little Highway 21. And it's basically the same on the other side.
Yes.
What we didn't understand and what we didn't know at the time is the ones on the side where 75 comes through would have snow and they wouldn't be open.
Yes.
And so that was part of what got, once we reached Loman and realized we really kind of need to keep going.
And Loman was basically shut down. It's a ski town.
Well, Loman, most of these towns, they're going to either have some tourism, maybe July and August.
Yes.
And then ski. And we're from Central Texas. That really didn't cross our mind very much. We try to make sure we do check weather forecasts, things like that.
Oh,
I don't want you to think we just started out here with no plan. We actually had a plan. It just wasn't a good one. But
based on what Sharon had found, it was the best.
And so we assumed from Stanley down toward Ketchum, there were going to be tons of options, and most of those were closed.
Yes.
The advantage we had by towing around there, it was gorgeous. Yes. And towing here May 15th, I think, was yesterday.
16th.
And, the snow was nice and low on, hadn't melted all that much. No, it had melted some, but
the roads had been plowed.
Oh,
the roads were fine.
But I will tell you that there is a section, and I believe it is, I can't get, there's not a town.
It's around
near
Loman.
the Banner Summit, I think it was. Up in that area. It is an avalanche area. We don't come across many of those, but they actually did have the thing that could come down over the road if there was going to be an avalanche. We did get to see deer out, and so that was fun. And then at one point we did see a herd of elk, and that was fun. But it was kind of overshadowed by the point of we had lost an hour as we came into Idaho from Oregon. We weren't sure what time sunset was going to be, and we didn't know where we were going.
And it was cloudy.
Yeah, we didn't.
Much of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. And we didn't know where we were going to stay. And so I think all of those things played into the fact that
we were kind of antsy about it from Stanley on.
Well, actually from Loman on, realizing we got to get up and over. But once we got to Stanley and realized, yeah,
there's nothing.
We're still seeing snow just straight out the windows. Not looking up the mountains, but just straight out the windows. We're seeing snow. Granted, it was 50 degrees or so at that point, but as soon as the sun goes down, temperature's going to drop, and our goal was to get below the snow line, at least below 5,000 feet,
yes.
And at that point we were still over 6,000. But this is a gorgeous area, but it's a gorgeous area for December, January, February, March, if you want to ski, cross-country snow, snowmobiles, stuff like that, or probably July and August.
And to look at those Sawtooth Mountains, particularly if you're going up in May, do what Sharon said and go up on the Stanley side.
Side
Stanley's
75.
Plenty big enough for you to find places to turn around and come back down.
And that was the other thing. There were a few campgrounds, actually on the entire loop. There were a few campgrounds that were open, and there were a few national forest roads that were open. I don't like starting down a road when I don't know if I can turn around. We had that experience at Mount Rainier. And God was with us. We got turned around, but it's not my favorite thing. And so it's a gorgeous area. We ended up at a fish hatchery that had a campground.
Yes, and it's wonderful.
It's just a little pull-through thing here. I'll show you some pictures of it, but it's just free dry camping here. There's a donation box up there, which obviously we're going to donate. But
we've never been so happy to be this near fish.
Well, and the fact that we were able to get here right at sunset.
Yes. It was not dark.
It was a huge relief.
Yes.
And so definitely plan to come to the Sawtooth Mountains. And the thing is, Marlene, we couldn't have changed it. When we started our trip in Phoenix, that set the latest we could start the trip.
Yes.
Because Phoenix was going to be sweltering. And so it's been fun. It was exciting when we saw snow at Sequoia. And it was kind of neat when we saw some up around Yosemite. And then driving up the ridge there at Hurricane Ridge at Olympic National Park, that was glorious.
Wonderful.
But I got to tell you, by the time we were driving with snow all around us yesterday and not knowing where we were going to stop, it had lost some of its charm. But anyway, like we said, this is a gorgeous area. But as a matter of fact, the campground we're sitting in right now, I looked at the board just last night as we got here, went up to see what the regulations were, and it said it opens the second week of May. So it just opened.
Yes.
And Crater of the Moons, which is just 37 miles from here, which we will have a video about, their campground is not officially open. It's first come, first serve right now, but there are no services. It's all just dry camping. And so things in this area don't turn water on until the end of May.
Yeah.
And so I believe their campground officially opens May 26th. So it's been an adventure, and it's a gorgeous area, and actually we're kind of blessed that we got to see it with this much snow.
And I have to tell you, when you're driving down in a valley and all the way around you there is snow, there is something both exhilarating and, since we didn't know where we were going to stay, frightening about seeing that much snow.
Yeah, I would say that drive, you don't have to go more than 10 miles north of Stanley to actually literally be in kind of a punch bowl where you've got Sawtooth Mountains all the way around
Yes.
you. But there was one trailhead where we saw, I mean, it was snow. That's all there was snow, and there were cars back, so I'm sure they were probably...
And we saw evidence of somebody either snowshoeing or cross-country skiing.
Yeah. And so, the lifts were still open. No, they weren't. But anyway, so it's kind of that. Now that it's over with, it was an adventure. But
You want to go again?
I can honestly say I can't see any reason for anyone to drive that scenic loop all the way around.
No.
The road got really rough in places, and you can find a better way to get to the part that you want to see. You can have scenic vistas and views without making that entire loop.
Yes.
And knowing what I know now, there's no way I would have started around it. We just didn't know. We made it. We're glad we did, but this video is just kind of a learn from what we did, and take our suggestions however you want to. You may be from this area and say, oh, that's a gorgeous place, what are you talking about? But we're just saying wasn't quite what we expected, and thought we would be stopped about 3 hours earlier than we were.
Yes.
And so anyway, it's a gorgeous area, but plan to come here during, 2 weeks later. I think it would have been a different story.
Sure.
Thanks for watching
Two Tired Teachers.